Welcome back to Blue and Blur, everybody. My name is Mark.
And I'm RJ, and we're here to discuss the news around the league right after this.
All right, so let's start at the bottom of the list.
Well, first, my mighty cross-offs. I enjoy doing cross-offs every week, and so far we've got Vancouver and New York.
They're done.
They're done.
There's no way.
And the Rangers have told Panarin to stay off the ice because it's clearly indicating they're going to trade him. They don't want him to sprain a knee or something. So it's a pretty weird situation. Very rare. I've seen football teams do that because it's so easy to get hurt. Hockey teams don't often do that. Like where they just say don't play at all. So I'm adding Calgary and St. Louis to the cross-off list. Mm-hmm. So we've got 4 teams crossed off now out of 32.
That's three in the West, only 1 in the East. That's funny.
Well, and there's a host of teams. We don't need to beat up on Toronto anymore. But there's Toronto, there's Chicago's, New Jersey's in trouble. Our old friend Sheldon Keefe, likely he might be answering to the pink slip in the spring with that news. But so anyway, that's the news. Cross-offs are those teams. They're out as far as we're concerned. Going on, we had a pretty exciting game last night that we want to talk about. Outdoor game played in Tampa, which the fact they played outdoor games in Tampa and Florida in the middle of the winter. Although somehow Gary Bettman managed to will this bomb cyclone to come up.
Yeah, you know what? A friend of mine's in Florida right now, and she said that it was cold. It was snowing and everything.
Who knows? Gary Bettman, he's got the power to he's got a lot of more power than we think.
This is Gargamel. He made a spell and potion and.
But the other interesting, a couple other things of note in that game. First of all, John Cooper's attire. He dressed like a mafia boss. That was kind of fun. And then, of course, one of the funnest things that ever happens in the NHL, and it's been rare these last few years, goalie fights. Mm-hmm. And now we've got our second goalie fight in the last 2 weeks. Vasilevsky on Tampa and Swayman. They went at it at center ice, and
short-lived, but
goalie fights are something that make the news. I mean, hockey's not number one, but ESPN will lead with a goalie fight, and the Today Show or Good Morning America might discuss a goalie fight the next day. It's one way for hockey to get on the front pages, so or the lead item on a news show. So anyway, it was pretty interesting. I scored it for Vasilevsky.
But, for sure. You got a couple good shots in.
It's funny because last year Binnington and Fleury were going to fight, and the linesmen did everything they could to stop it. And it's been talked about that the league has frowned on goalie fights. But I got a feeling that when the governors get together, it might be a topic on the list. How do we get more goalie fights?
Yeah, you definitely get the views.
Because I wasn't paying attention to the outdoor game, and then all of a sudden I heard about a goalie fight. And the funny thing was, Boston was peppering them. The crowd was dead. It was 60-odd thousand or whatever. It was crazy. And it's 5-1. The fight goes on, and next thing it's 5-2, and then Tampa ends up taking the game 6-5.
Massive choke.
Yeah, Boston. So anyway, there's that news. We've got some injuries on the Canadian side now that are pretty. Braden Point's been out for quite a while, and it doesn't look maybe like it's going to mend. And Cirelli, to Tampa Bay, and those are John Cooper's, baby blankets. He relies, especially Cirelli. He loves putting Cirelli in defensive face-off zones, and he really relies on him. So
so he'd be questionable for the Olympics.
So I would think if both those guys are out, that would probably mean that one of, and maybe both, Zach Hyman and Sam Bennett would make the team again. They're both centers. They've got extra. I mean, Celebrini's been penciled that he probably will have to play the wing, so they could move him back to center, which is his natural position, and probably better for him anyway as a young kid. So I'm thinking maybe I would like to see that it's Hyman and Bennett. I'm not saying it will be. For some reason, they overlooked Mark Sheffley. He's not even on the radar apparently. Mm-hmm. So or Seth Jarvis. Seth Jarvis, who was on the team last year, being a centerman, I could see that I would name Seth Jarvis as possibly on that list. But the way Hyman's playing right now, 19 goals in the last 27 games or some crazy stat, I would put Hyman in to play left wing with McDavid. And
why not? I mean, they're on the same team right now.
Yeah.
They'd be.
But Bennett and Jarvis, who were there last year and played well, Bennett in particular, won the Conn Smythe last year. I do not know actually why Bennett's not on the team originally.
Yeah.
So anyway, that'd be interesting. I hate to see Point and Sorelli not make it, but good for it's great. It's going to be great news if we get Zach Hyman and Sam Bennett back on there, and I like Seth Jarvis. So those are my predictions there. And then, we always got to talk about the Leafs. Big news last week. Let's talk about something happy about the Leafs. Last Tuesday, a week ago, their last home game before they took off for Points West. They celebrated because they couldn't. The anniversary is February 7th of Daryl Sittler's 1976 10-point night. Mm-hmm. And they asked McDavid and Matthews about that, and they both said that'll never be. Both of them said it will never be done. As I pointed out in the last video, Matthews has got no chance because he'd have to score 9 goals with 1 assist. He cannot. He doesn't get enough.
Doesn't get an assist. No.
But I could see McDavid actually. I could see McDavid going crazy one night. But it's never been done. There's been a couple of 8-point games have happened over the years, but 10 points is unbelievable. And that was a crazy night. I'm old enough. I remember it. And my question is for anyone listening to this, since we haven't won a cup, we haven't even been to a final, is that night of February 7th, 1976, the greatest moment in the last 60 years of modern Leaf hockey? I'm going to say it is the greatest moment in Leaf history.
Top 5.
Well, you can go with the Borshevsky goal or the Lanny McDonald goal to win us a playoff series. But then where did we go? We didn't win. Yeah. We never went anywhere after that. I think it's an individual performance instead of a team one, which is also kind of fitting because our team never gets the job finished. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I had tears in my eyes almost. They had the whole team out there. It was phenomenal. Ian Turnbull showed up, a guy who's been a recluse. I couldn't believe. Last time I saw Ian Turnbull, he was like 28 years old playing for the Los Angeles Kings. I never saw him again. And then all of a sudden he's there. He's an old man. It was just, wow.
And the feel-good story of that night is they found his jersey, his original jersey.
Yeah, he was wearing his old. Yeah,
somebody found it at auction, bought it, and then donated it or gave it back to.
My wife wondered why he had an off-cream colored. The Leafs are going with trying to sell more jerseys off-color.
Yeah, and he was actually showing. He says, "Look, this is like they got stitching marks here and stitching marks there because they use the same jersey."
He's a class act. He was a great captain, great player. He was mistreated at the end by Mr. Harold Ballard. And it was great to see Daryl Sittler at center ice and Lanny McDonald and Tiger Williams and too bad Boria wasn't still alive. It was a great special ceremony, and that's what you got with the Leafs. If we had a cup team, I would say that, but I'm going to say Daryl Sittler's 10-point night. Just phenomenal.
I'm a sentimental guy, so I found it touching that he got his jersey back, and it made me think of when Gallagher got his jersey back, the one that he wore for cancer. It's it was a pink jersey, I think it was for a cancer evening, and this lady had won it at auction because they auctioned off all the jerseys that the players wore, and then after his mother, Gallagher's mother, passed, this lady donated it back to him. I thought that was pretty touching there, like that. So for him to get his jersey back, for me, that was like the highlight. I'm like, yeah, good for him to get his damn jersey back, because he's probably one of those guys like, you know what, I wonder whatever happened to my jersey, That was
a phenomenal night. Boston. I don't know. They put this. He played in the NHL for 4 or 5 years. Dave Reese, but he was more of a third stringer than even a second stringer. And Gary Cheevers was tired. Bruins had just brought him back from the WHA, and Don Cherry put Reese in, and he wouldn't take him out. So that's part of what maybe contributed to it. But Sittler was just on fire. I mean, he scored 1 goal from the back of the net off a skate, but otherwise, he was full value all night, just going. And it's a special memory for me, and I'm going to say it's the special memory. I'm going to say it's the greatest moment in Leaf history since the '67 Cup. Daryl Sittler.
Well, definitely since then, absolutely, yeah.
So sure. That was that.
And then while you were laid up, watched a little TV.
I did watch a little TV. I watched the Netflix just premiered the other day the U.S. 1980 Olympic hockey team. They did a new documentary on it. There's a great movie, Miracle, with Kurt Russell playing Herb Brooks, and I'm sure we've all seen it. I mean, to me, it's the second greatest hockey movie next to Slapshot. Bill Simmons declared, great
Young Bloods, no,
great call, Young Bloods.
No Young Bloods.
No. I'm going with Bill Simmons named Miracle. I was surprised he named Miracle as the best sports movie ever made. He's an avowed basketball lover and football, and gives scant notice to hockey. But he declared that. Anyway, back to this documentary. I watched this documentary. I highly recommend you to go on Netflix and watch it. It's very touching. They bring all the players back that are still alive. I think there's 4 or 5 have passed away. And the coach, of course, Herb Brooks, died tragically in a car accident 20 years ago. But it's very touching, and it's very special. And you know what? It ties into today, because in 1979, you had the Iran hostage situation. You had gas prices up the wazoo. Of course, they were probably horrified. They had to pay $1.50 a gallon or something. But they were coming out of the Vietnam War still. They were coming out of Watergate. They had a major economic depression going on. Not a lot of pride in America. It was a really tough time at the end of the 70s, and that brought the whole country together. So I couldn't help but think, boy, with all that's going on today in America, wouldn't that be nice if they had if they could replicate that again? The other thing, of course, it's almost as we did in '72 when we had our great Russia series, which is one of the watershed moments of our history, and we're going to do a video on that one day. This is non-recreatable, because there was this thing about if you aren't old enough, you don't realize it was like the Russian, because you didn't have the internet. We didn't have barely had satellite TV was even wonky at that time. The Russians were alien to us. They were these monsters, these guys with nuclear bombs aimed at us. There was always the threat of nuclear war and communist takeover of the world, as we were told, and so they were the monsters. We hated them. And I don't apologize for that. We were encouraged to hate, and so when the Russian hockey team, of course, was this complete dynasty. They'd won the Olympic gold medal from '64 on every time they smashed the NHL 6-0 in the Challenge Cup final the year before. They were unbeatable, and this bunch of Herb Brooks put together this group of 20 college kids, and it was just incredible. What he did, and a couple of interesting things. Al Michaels, who of course is now the dean of sportscasting, he declares it as the greatest sports moment he called the game. And Jim McKay, you guys won't remember, but he was one of the biggest sportscasters of the 60s and 70s. Host of Wide World of Sports, saw it all, hosted all the Olympics back then. He declared it the greatest thing he'd ever seen. So that's how big and special it was. And I personally, I was a young teenager. Senior in high school, and we loaded up in a car and drove down to Fort Lauderdale for spring break. So I was actually in Fort Lauderdale when that was going on, and it was so I experienced that with Americans. And
my favorite Toronto documentary.
What's that?
It's All or Nothing. That was aired on Netflix was it Netflix or Prime a couple of years ago? Only because it had the greatest ending.
It was on Prime. It was on Prime.
Yeah, Prime. Yeah, it had the greatest ending. The greatest final episode to a docu-series.
Well, it ended up being not much of all, and a lot of nothing.
It was a great ending.
Yeah, I remember that documentary.
Best
I
ending.
watched the whole. I thought, and I'll tell you what was interesting in that documentary, to get off topic.
For those of you who don't know, haven't seen it, the Montreal beats Toronto.
Sheldon Keefe.
Last episode.
There's 2 scenes in that are very revealing. Sheldon Keefe there's one scene I remember where he takes John Tavares over to the corner at practice, and he starts questioning him as to why don't these guys get it? Why don't these guys get it? And there's another scene in his office where he also or maybe it's, he says to the coaching staff, they just don't get it. And I remember there's a third scene. He says right in the dressing room, you guys. He basically says what we all think. He says right out loud, this regular season hockey, guys, is not playoff hockey. You guys are playing to win regular season games. You don't play the style needed for the playoffs. You've got to start playing playoff hockey in the regular season. You just can't start playing playoff hockey.
Yeah.
And so it's very revealing. And of course, here we are, like several years down the road, and they haven't learned. Just to finish off on the U.S. thing, though, that was a phenomenal, that was a phenomenal thing. To live through, and it changed American hockey. The NHL and American hockey today is, if that hadn't have happened, if the Russians had just, if the United States had not have got to the medal round, say they just blew out in the original tournament, and there was no miracle. I mean, guys like Brian Leach and Mike Modano and whatnot, these guys say that they were like 8 and 9-year-olds, and this inspired them. So who knows what U.S. hockey would be like today, and the NHL, quite frankly, would maybe the NHL would not be at 32 teams. It'd still be a middle of the road league still with only 20 teams, and Although some of us would, I think that may be a lot better. But you know what I mean. The United States hockey may be a struggling sport had it not been for that 1980 miracle.
Other big news coming out, Barry Trotz looks like he's not going to be going forward with the Preds anymore.
He's apparently resigned. He gave it a good throw at general manager. He signed up there 2 years ago, and he threw he rolled the dice, bringing in Stamkos, Marcia Salt. It didn't work out as well as he thought. There's a but they've been trying to they're fighting for a playoff spot. They're not a cross off yet, but they're not doing that well. So he's decided to resign.
I don't think he disclosed why.
He says he's healthy, but he says he has no interest in returning to coaching. So that's over.
So he's not going to Toronto next year.
I don't know. He wanted the Toronto job. He wanted the Toronto job back in when they were thinking about moving out Keefe.
Yep.
Before they went and committed again to Keefe. At that time, Trotz ended up with went and took the Islander job, but because after winning the Cup with Washington. But and the other news was it's great to see a 70. I think he's 71 now. Rick Bowness got back into hockey after leaving Winnipeg and saying he was retired. He's come back to Columbus, and what a bang. I think they've won 8 or 9 out of their last 10 or 11. Mm-hmm. And he's putting Columbus back in the race. I mean, they are...
on that note, I want to talk about, before we leave...
Columbus is there.
We talked about our write-offs. Let's talk about who's hot going into the Olympic break right now. Certainly Pittsburgh is hot right now. I think they're on a 6-game winning streak right now. Columbus is on a 5-game winning streak.
Dallas Stars have won their last 4.
Yeah, Montreal's on a hot streak right now.
Tampa Bay's has only lost 1 game once in the last 16 games.
Yep. Yeah, no, they're like 8-1-1 in the past 10. So
if you want to talk about, to me, there's only 4. Carolina's just hanging out, but Tampa Bay and the 3 top Western clubs, Colorado, Minnesota, and Dallas, those are the 4. Mm-hmm. Those are the 4 teams that are the real ringers. I mean, we all know when the playoffs come, there's always upsets. So, who knows? All 4 of those teams could be on the outside by the Final Four. But right now, those look like the favorites to win the cup.
And Colorado has been slipping.
Well,
weren't they at like a plus 100 and something on points or goals, and now they're just plus 74?
I don't know if they got over 100, but they were like plus 89, or they're only plus 74 now, and they're 4-4-2. In their last 10, and they've been like that it's been pretty much 500 hockey since the new year. Yep. I think it's just that they were had the pedal to the metal.
And you can't just keep that pace up.
And they might be doing it a little bit by design. Not that they're trying to lose or anything like that, but they've decided to just back off a little. And
and we spoke about this on the text. Is that they've been starting to play a lot more Eastern teams right now, Eastern Conference teams, and we're hot in the East, so maybe they're slipping away from the easy games they had out of West.
Maybe they had more easy games. They had a lot more home starts, I think, at the start too. So but. I still think Colorado's the team to beat. Tampa Bay is just, and they're getting Victor Hedman is going to be coming back. Apparently, he's trying to get back healthy enough for a lot of confidence for Sweden. And the Olympic break's going to shake everything out because when the teams come back from that, there's going to be some injuries in the Olympic tournament, and there's going to be some guys come back tired or adrenalized. A lot of times guys who have really big tournaments will come back and have a little bit of a letdown. Who knows what this is going to do to the landscape of the.
Well, I'm happy for my team because I know Caulfield and Demidov are going to have a nice 2-week vacation.
Well, Hudson too.
Yeah, that's right. One of the 3 top players in my team are going to be well rested. Yeah. And they're going to be a 2-week vacation.
True.
They're probably going to go back home.
Montreal's going to be well positioned when they
heal
get
any
back.
Wounds that they might have. Yeah.
No, it's true. That could be. It could go that way.
Yeah, because we only have 4 going. We've got Slavkovsky going to Slovakia. We've got Suzuki, Canada. We've got Kapanen, he's going to, is he Finland? Finland. And then we've got Texier, who's playing for France. So I don't expect Texier to get in the final rounds. He'll probably just play the round robin, and then he'll be back home in France.
No, they're not the Flying Frenchman. The France is not the Flying Frenchman.
Yeah, I think I'm looking for good things out of Slovakia. They got a really good roster, and Finland. Finland's got a really good roster this year as well. So it's definitely going to be a good Olympic things to watch.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, we're going to cover the Olympics in our next video, or next on Friday. We're going to meet again and do some more taping, do some more recording. for you guys. And then we're going to stick around for the Olympic
We'll
break.
do a deadline preview. We'll do some players that are up for grabs in the deadline coming up, and we'll do the Olympics.
And look for us to maybe do a live during the Olympics.
We're thinking about doing a game. We're thinking about doing one of the games because the games are on during the day too. So
yeah,
maybe a lot of
we
people
could do
be
the
in their
gold.
offices. Maybe they can watch us on YouTube with a little.
Maybe if Montreal, maybe if Canada's in the gold, we could do a live during the gold.
Well, we'll have to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so anyways, like and subscribe. Thank you for sticking around to the end. Our subscribers are going up. Thank you for everybody who's subscribed, and tell your friends. We're like I said, we're not professionals at this. We're doing this on our own for fun. We're not getting paid. We don't have any sponsors, but it's really nice to see our subscribers go up. And we'll see you in our next video.